the time. Check the time. This is the time we begin. In case we ever forget it.
7:45.
Yeah.
Well, you should be on stage. What are you doing in here?
No, that come for us yet.
No one knows.
You see, I've never been backstage at this point, so I have no idea what happened.
Oh, don't you know?
It's a kind of alchemy, Jeremy.
Yeah? Is it a magical transformation?
Yes, we go to the curtain like that.
When we came up with the idea of doing a tour, it was because we'd missed the live performance element. As soon as we moved into television, the audience went, you'd spend a whole day doing 5 minutes of footage. So we definitely missed the live experience.
Come in, I'm following you. It's like Spinal Tap.
Now please put your hands together and welcome the League of Gentlemen.
This was just, we come out and it was a big cheer and it was just fabulous, and it was like the first time that we ever kind of occurred to us that people knew it, knew the programme, knew the characters. I always remember thinking, years ago when we did the stuff at Canal Cafe with us in just our tuxedos, Steve coming on as Pauline saying "Hokey Pig in a Pokey" to no reaction, thinking one day he'll go out and he'll just have to say that and there'll be a massive cheer, and it was like, you know, it was happening at Drury Lane and on the live tour. It was just brilliant. It was like a dream come true.
Hokey Pig in a Pokey!
We always wanted to end up in a London venue, didn't we? And we saw a few.
I think there was, I mean, you have to look at the schedule of what's likely to come off. You know?
Yeah.
So I think there was a surfeit of kind of really bad French musicals at the time. So we were just praying that one of these would fail, would flop. And they all did.
So we had a choice.
We had a great choice. So we had one day going around in a taxi. We first of all went to the Dominion, which is very, very big, very sort of wide, and the Shaftesbury's a lot smaller. But Drury Lane, it just had this sort of classic 4-tier structure, and it's absolutely huge, but it didn't feel intimidating because there's only 3 of us in the show, and we haven't got that much scenery and stuff. So we didn't want to be on one of these really wide, cavernous musical theatre stages because we would just get dwarfed.
Yeah, and one of the oldest, isn't it? Theatre in London.
The oldest theatre in London, and also what was a very big factor in our minds was the Monty Python shows there.
I'd done it there.
Because my first first time I'd heard of Monty Python was the tape Monty Python Live at Drury Lane. We had the cassette, we used to play it in the car.
And we cleverly called this show Live at Drury Lane. League of Gentlemen Live at Drury Lane.
To make people think it will be as good as that.
Oh, it's very good.
Oh, it's like a religious painting.
It is, it's got a biblical feel.
Obviously it's all taken very seriously, going up in the air on harnesses and wires and things, and that was when we first were shown these instruments of excruciating torment.
It's like a torture.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You see how tight that is? That's
Yeah. Right, yeah.
So
No, it's good.
cycling shots of we get some cycling
No, it
shots.
feels, I'm not going anywhere in this.
They took us up on these harnesses. It was quite scary. I'm not liking it initially. I remember being quite frightened by it. Because it was just like it's going up and up and up, and it's like being on a bungee jump. So it was, and it hurt as well. I remember it initially hurting you to get your tackle in the right place, because it is just pulled up tight.
The worst bit was doing the practice runs, because on the performance, the lights are on you and the audience is in darkness. You don't really know, you don't really have a sense of how high you are. But when you're doing it,
when you could see it.
When you could see that you were going up to the highest level, to the people who've in the grand circle, and you're looking right in their eyes, that was really terrifying. Yeah. But it took a number of goes to get it right. So the first time you go up in it, you just think, I can't do this every night.
I remember some nights going up thinking that one of my knackers is in the wrong place and I'm going to have to suffer it. Crushed until I'm down. Like 5 minutes of torture. It's unbelievable trying to do it. No times.
You think, stop laughing.
Please,
stop
get me down,
clapping.
Get me down.
Have fun, chaps. Okay, here we go.
The costumes are crucial to get those right, and Tubbs's legs were the legs, the boots, the tights, just pulled on like a pair of socks. Anything that could have a tie already in with the shirt and the jacket.
Yeah.
You know, it was like the way they dress corpses, you know. You put your hands in and everything's down the back.
Yeah, all my Edward was just the cravat and the shirt and the waistcoat all in one, and the jacket split up the back and arms through and on and you're on. It's like so many layers to it, but it was on in like that flash. We got so used to the changes. Some were always hairy. Yeah, some were like, my God, this is every night. Just getting there in time. Going from Papalazzo into Bernice was always really... I had to pelt it on and plonk down, and the curtain was going up. The wig was done, just there in time. By the end, we were quick at the Velcro and the wigs and the... You know, and you can tell as well, we look ludicrous, like dragged through edge backwards. Just barely semblance of the character.
There's some great footage of Reese as Judy, and when we saw it, we couldn't believe. When you look at what that character is on the television, you know, beautifully made up and beautifully
It looks
costumed.
like fucking Miss Piggy.
I thought he looked like it was Diana Dawes. Back from the ghost of Diana Dawes back from the grave. So, you know, we knew we had to cut certain corners. We knew that the wigs had to plonk on. We couldn't do full makeup. We did use lipstick for the female characters.
I thought there were actually good semblances of the characters for stage. They were like big versions of them, you know, they were like It's a Knockout versions.
Show me your helmet! The one on your head!
If you saw one of the first 20 performances, you will have seen something that, you know, was quite natural. If you saw one of the last 20 performances, you'll have seen something that would have shamed a pantomime.
Oh, what's this now, Dick fucking Whittington?
We would sort of enjoy finding funny things that weren't just the things that were originally funny things, i.e. the jokes and the funny lines.
You'll be wanting to see men dressed up as women next!
That was an improvised line. What's this, Dick fucking Whittington? And then you see it gets a great laugh, so then that becomes part of the show. Yeah. And then sometimes it would be, oh, you'll be wanting to see men dressed up as women next, which was another sort of improvised line, and then that stays in the show. And so there were a number of... The show would grow by doing these sort of improvised bits.
Sit down! He's telling a joke.
The last night at Blackpool, wasn't it? We arrived at Mau Mau.
Anything goes. This was the anything goes performance.
It seemed to be like anyone would do anything. And I think Mark said, I've got some things planned, which I was frightened of. Because he genuinely didn't tell us what. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, but anyway, I thought it'll be all right, we'll get through it. But I didn't expect that, because Mau Mau became this kind of warhorse of a sketch that I sometimes really didn't want to do. Because however much you can't half do Mau Mau, you've got to fully do the gun and everything. Yeah, I've got this gun. And I was tired by the end. And then I jumped up and did this thing, and he, as Brian, pulls out this gun. And I didn't know what to do. I was utterly floored by it.
We have got this gun down!
I can't remember what I did, in fact. What did I do?
I can't remember.
He said something like, I've listened to you tell this joke, now I'm going to tell it or something, didn't
110 times, because it was the 111th show. And we knew it was definitely the last one. And,
so it was great fun. It was wild to feel on stage not within the constraints of the lines anymore. You know, it was frightening. I didn't like it. I kind of liked it because it was the last night, but it is quite scary. I'm not used to kind of improvising, but we used to a bit, didn't we?
What was scary was that Mark, of the three of us, would be the one who was least likely to change anything. You know, we would have bits of the show where, you know, he would like to stick. So for him to do something so radically different was absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
I've told this joke 110 fucking times! You are going to tell this joke! I don't want to laugh! Or is he gets it? Get to the joke, Jesus! The Irishman looks at his fruit. Pineapple! And he says, don't think I can stop the Mau, I'll choose death. And the chief says to him and says,
If we'd come up with that idea of Mark's, that Brian pulls the gun, that's a brilliant twist on a sketch, which you're familiar with. I think we would have done that every night, because it was such a funny thing for the audience. So it's a shame he only thought of it on
Last night.
day 111, yeah.
She says, death by Mau Mau. See? Oh, you heard it. Pull us out.
In that show, you remember we were doing the Denton sketch, and me and Mark had worked out that when the curtains would open, because it had been up from a sort of front curtain piece, the curtains would open, and Mark was kneeling in front of me, and I had my dressing gown slightly open, and he was giving me a blowjob, and Reese had to walk on stage seeing that.
They party quick.
They party quick, and Mark had all this horrible mayonnaise in his mouth, mayonnaise and yogurt mixed together, which
Spat out, didn't he?
he spat out, and
It was just like, what's happening?
it was just.
It was a wild night.
Good morning, Uncle Harvey.
Morning, Benjamin. Please join us at table. We haven't actually broken our fasts yet. We've been enjoying ourselves.
I think people enjoy. People in the audience can tell when something's going slightly off kilter.
It did kind of come alive when those moments happened, didn't it?
Well, they're unique. That's just that night only. But for the audience, no one else has seen that exact thing. The audiences, though, would genuinely love to see us going wrong, or there was stuff like chairs would fall over and stuff like that. We'd start laughing.
Generally in Bernice, I remember laughing a lot. And I remember with Pauline and Kathy Carter-Smith, we'd laugh a lot.
Yeah, anything with me and you, sort of having to look at each other. Anything where we had to look each other in the eye, square on, was
difficult.
an absolute killer.
Yeah, because you never used to do it. You used to do this. Because his technique for not laughing was to just put his eyes up. And that, to me, of course, is like, you want to laugh, so you can't look at me, so you're doing that. It's impossible.
Well, as soon as you had a part of the show which you were worried about coming up because it was going to make you laugh, and you would safely get through that moment, you thought, thank God I didn't laugh. Then something else would come out of nowhere that would just make you laugh, and then it became a challenge to just to see if you could get through it.
Alles klar! Gut, alles klar.
The hair lip scenario, I mean, it was a big risk because we've never done anything like this before. And I was really worried about how, it was going to be able to sustain bringing someone up onto the stage, and will they sort of take over, and will I be able to control it? And so, but it soon became apparent that if you put a blindfold on someone, you can control them.
Completely in control.
So I never had any problems, in that sketch, and it had grown and grown and grown, and I really enjoyed doing it.
Tonight, Kinder, heute Abend, we are going to learn the rules to blind man's puff. And of course, for this, I need to find a boy to play with. So.
Picking the guy, it was always pretty random. It's who's sitting on the edge of a row and who looks a bit like they don't want to be chosen, because the last thing you want is someone who thinks they're funny, trying to be funnier than you. So, and they bring the house lights up, but it's always pretty dark, so I would randomly go on some guy's lap. And there was one night in Drury Lane, and there's sort of lanky, and with his legs sticking out, and I thought, he'll do. He looks like he's sort of shrinking down in his seat, and he'll be a good person to choose. So I sat on his lap and said, "Come and join me on stage." And I sort of, pulled him by the hand, and there was a muted reaction.
Little hand.
There was a strange muted reaction from the audience, and when I got him up on stage and I turned around, he was about 14 years old. And it was clear, you know, I hadn't seen it, but he was clearly too young to do any kind of innuendo stuff with, because it, you know, it just wouldn't have been funny. And there was this kind of like a mob mentality forming in the audience. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen.
So I sort of looked at her and
Pediatrician.
I said, "Oh, you're young, aren't you?" I said, "Have you got an older brother?"
That's right, yeah.
And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Is he here tonight?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, thank God for that."
You can see it. The wheels turning in his head saying, "Can I get away with this? Can I?" And then he said, "Well, you know what they say, if they're old enough to..." What did he say? If they're old enough to bleed, they're old enough to butcher. Then it worked.
Did the audience laugh or did it die?
And it was a terrible... I think someone went, "No." And then he put him back and got the other one up. And it was all right, and it was all fine, but you could tell that they were all thinking, he would have said that to the 10-year-old, he would have said that to the...
Well, that's all from me. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Sleep tight, and remember, don't let the bugger bite you.
The thing about our tour last time, was that it absolutely took us by surprise, the enormity of it. We thought we would build to something like that, you know, maybe do 2 or 3 tours. We're going to do another one, and hopefully we'll still have that same enthusiasm for it. I can't wait to do it, it'll be really exciting.
The response we got from doing this live show, wherever we went, apart from where they were arseholes, you know,
Forgot about that.
I'm going to do that again.
The response we got.
When we were doing the show up and down the country, the response we got was really overwhelming, and I think anyone who saw this live show or has now seen it on DVD will hopefully see that we can put on an entertaining theatrical show which is worth coming to see, and that's what's given us the confidence that we can go and do another tour, and you know, every 3 or 4 years I think we'll be out till we end up on Blackpool Pier with the Grumbleweeds, which is our ultimate. We want to be the new Grumbleweeds.
Just saying, for reasons I cannot explain, I enjoyed that show more than anyone we have done.
Why? I don't know, right? I just
Well, literally more than
really
anyone
more
you've
than
done.
any other one. I really enjoyed it.
You do get a great buzz from it. I know it's a cliche, but compared to television and film, those 2.5 hours when you're actually doing it are great. They're the great bit of it, and that is definitely something that we want to keep doing, and we don't want to lose that element of what the League of Gentlemen is.